And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth, Texas, for the Championship 225, presented by Manji Motorsports. My name is Jonathan Oates, and joining me tonight in the broadcast booth is Ross Brockman with Jeff Johnson, your producer. Ross, it's been an exciting season, an up and down year full of exciting racing and close finishes. Tonight we wrap it all up at Texas. What are you excited for in tonight's race?
I think tonight, just to see a mile and a half again. We haven't had one of these in a little bit, at least not a super speedway mile and a half, but Texas, Legacy Texas, if you will, is kind of somewhat of a new favorite, I think, for this series. So I had some great races here recently, and I think this is a great spot to kind of cap off the season and to see these drivers go all out here in Texas.
Yeah, definitely a unique racetrack that we're looking at tonight. It's unlike really any of the other mile and a halves on the schedule. There's a lot of different lanes you can use in the corner. The bottom lane is quite bumpy. The exit of turn 2 kind of tightens up, and 1 and 2 is just a little bit different from 3 and 4. So a lot of different factors at play tonight, and I'm sure that these drivers are looking forward to the race. The field is rolling off now. We got a couple of pace laps here. We're going to go ahead and pull up your starting lineup while we interview. We get through a couple of interviews here, but let's go ahead and go through a couple of rows before we do that. Elliot Henderson is starting on pole. It's his first pole that we have broadcasted on Split Second TV. He wins the pole over Nathan Jump, although they set identical times. Elliot edged him out by just a little bit. Row 2, Jared Duda would have been starting to the inside of Tony Manji, but Duda is serving an EOL, so it'll be Will Barbagelata on the inside. The rest of the starting lineup is going to go across the bottom of your screen now, but before we get going, we're going to have a word with your pole sitter, Elliot Henderson, because E95 Esports, his team, is looking tonight to wrap up the team championship. So let's go and bring him in now.
Trying to connect with him here. I'm struggling over here, but not only did he get in the pole here for us to interview him, but also team championship and owning and part of the ownership team of E95 Esports that is going to ultimately win the championship tonight with Hunter Mandolinas. Yeah, I'm struggling to get a hold of him. Maybe we're gonna have to chat with him later in the race. But we a great start to the night. Not only just needing that 7 truck to start tonight to get in, but here he is. Here's Elliot now. Elliot, you not only are part of the team of E95 Esports that is ultimately going to win the team championship tonight, but you're also on the pole tonight. Talk about the season and what your outlook is like going into tonight's race.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a given. I think we're up 27 points, but Peterson's having issues, it looks like, trying to connect, and we got a bonus point for pole, so high chance of getting third in points still, and that's kind of where we are. Zach's not here, so we're really only worried about if Peterson can get connected and wherever Sims finishes, and then the other side of it is just trying to keep Jump in our sights and make sure that they can't gain 27 points over us on the team side, but it's going to be pretty hard to do as long as one of us finishes in the top 20, even if one of them wins.
Well, we wish you good luck tonight. Have some fun out there.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
So that was Elliot Henderson, driver of the number 37 truck. He is going to go ahead and start from pole as we try to move him back to his channel here. I'm sure we can figure it out. I'm just going to keep talking. So Elliot is starting on pole for E95. They're looking to wrap up the team championship. But in the drivers' championship, things are absolutely wrapped up. Hunter Mandolinas, although he did struggle last week at Rockingham, has locked up the title by 41 points over Christian Peterson, who has not showed up tonight. So if we could just get those points on screen, we can go ahead and take a look at the rest of the battles going on in that championship, because of course first place isn't the only thing that matters. We'll go ahead and pull it up on your screen now. Matthew Weeks, as they start, is currently second in points, with Elliot Henderson chasing him down for third. Coming into tonight, I had theorized that Weeks and Peterson were actually going to be battling for second in the championship, but with Peterson having trouble getting on the grid, Matthew Weeks looks to have that second place spot wrapped up. Elliot Henderson will try and take it from him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see both Matthew Weeks and Christian Peterson, both championship contenders, but also new to the series this year. So a little bit of rookie bragging rights as to whoever is the best finishing rookie. Well, it might come down to Christian Peterson just trying to sign in and get into the session. So it looks like he's still trying to connect. But yeah, hopefully we get to see him on track tonight.
And of course, the biggest thing tonight, now that the championship is wrapped up, These guys have nothing to lose and everything to gain, so we'll see what happens after 150 laps tonight. We do have a bit of a long race, but it should be an exciting one here at Legacy, Texas. It's a fan favorite, it's a driver favorite. I'm excited to get this race underway. Field's coming into the restart zone now. The green flag is out, and we are underway at Texas. Out of turn 4 for the first time tonight. Nathan Jump on the jump already. He's got the lead from Elliott Henderson as they complete lap number 1. It was a move into turn 3 that did it. So Nathan Jump, last season's champion, ran part-time this year. He is looking to close out that part-time campaign with a win. Looking back just a little bit, Terrell Baker doing what he does best, running the wall. He's up into P6, and he's kind of showing how versatile this track is. You can look around for grip here.
Yeah, it's awesome to see them kind of, a lot of them just jump into the bottom right away, but I think that, yeah, you're going to see a lot of different choices. You can kind of run middle and top just to get around drivers if you want, and it's awesome to see that 8 truck already jumping up there way high this time through 1 and 2.
Anytime you give Terrell Baker the opportunity to run high, he is going to take advantage of it, and you can see the run it gives him on the back straightaway. But for the most part, everybody has single filed out up through the top 10 as Baker catches the wall there in the middle of 3 and 4. Now Nathan Jump falls back to second. Elliott Henderson has taken back the race lead, and Will Barber-Gelada is on the inside with a push from Tony Manji.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing Elliott, chatting with him before the race there, starting on pole. I think that there's been a couple races this year where it seems like he kind of starts, maybe outside the top 10 and having to drive up there. Given this 37 truck some track position early might be kind of dangerous. And kind of interesting to see how he performs up here, battling for the race lead right now, or at least grabs it back from Nathan Jump.
Yeah, Elliott's pretty fast. I used to race against him in one of his other leagues that he's ran here on iRacing, and he is definitely one to be reckoned with on these mile-and-a-half racetracks. He's showing that now, out in the lead in front of Will Barber-Gelada. But another thing is, you got to wonder if he's coming into this race with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's one of the drivers that has not found victory lane yet this season, despite being very successful in previous seasons of Great Lakes Truck Series competition. So look for him tonight to be racing for just a little bit more. Looking back through the field, that number 63 truck, usually by Eric Kepf, is being driven by Gavin Fitzgerald. So Gavin stepping out of the number 14 and into the number 63. The reasoning behind that, as I learned in pre-race, is that number 63 truck has never missed a race of Great Lakes Truck Series competition. Usually Eric Kepf is driving it, but he couldn't make it tonight. So in order to carry on the spirit of the number, Gavin Fitzgerald for Spectrum Racing has stepped into that car. But he's going to get in the wall out of turn number 4. He's going 3 wide there with Austin Moore and Spencer Owens going by on the bottom. Caressel goes through as well.
I thought it was interesting. You saw Caressel kind of the previous lap as he was passing on the inside, just kind of clip the grass on the front stretch. That's really easy to do here at Texas. We see it all the time, and it's as long as you don't get too far into it, it's very tempting to just cut that corner to try to gain ground on the guy that's on your outside.
I can definitely give you a little bit of an advantage too. I mean, we don't really have splitter physics on iRacing. No need to worry about the front of the truck digging in. Looking a little bit back from the leaders, Hunter Madalinas is into the top 5. He came into this race with no practice. He didn't set down any laps in the practice session prior to this race, and I think part of that might be because he already has the championship wrapped up. He doesn't really need to spend that much time working on his pace for this race, but as you can see, it's not really making too much of a difference as he is already up to P5 and looking to gain another spot here. And yes, there's your confirmation. After starting tonight's race, Madalinas is officially your Season 10 Great Lakes Truck Series champion.
Hey, you mentioned the idea for him to be able to come to this race and just, go for a win, but I was thinking that's a different strategy to points racing. But no, actually, for Madalinas, he's the type of guy that's here to win every single week. So it's it'll be exciting to see him just race these guys straight up. I don't know how much he worries about points, and that's his mentality. It's what's worked for him to win this championship. But yeah, already up 8 spots. We're seeing him work that outside lane that we talked about around jump here, trying to crack up into the top 4.
You also got to imagine that Hunter Madalinas probably wants to end off his championship season with another win, even though it doesn't really mean anything in terms of the points, as it gets a little tight there out of turn number 2 with Nathan Jump, but it doesn't mean anything in terms of the points, but I think Madalena still would like to have that victory to cap off the season. Looking back a little bit, Terrell Baker has moved to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's fighting side by side with Jared Darling. That's for P10.
Yeah, all these drivers, you kind of get stuck on the outside. You can kind of get freight trained a little bit on the drivers on the bottom, but yeah, it's interesting to see the side-by-side battles. We still got that A truck running up high. I love it. That's cool. Cool to see them use all the different lanes through 1 and 2 there.
Definitely a pretty wide racetrack. I think as the run goes on, as the race goes on, we're going to see the track widen out a good bit, especially it's a pretty hot day here in Texas. Let's see what the weather is. It's 80 degrees out, 99-degree track temperature, so very warm, very slick, and I think there's going to be a lot of drivers looking around for grip as these tires wear out.
We got Shane Nicewanger here on the outside of Matthew Weeks, or at least trying to get to his outside. Already up 9 spots for Shane, up into the 8th place here. I think that's, or I guess, battling for 8th here with Weeks. But yeah, great job in the opening 12 laps to gain almost 10 positions here through the field. And yeah, I think that you know, guys like Weeks here and Nicewanger, they're just trying to stay up here and get up from where they started, because kind of, you know, mid-pack qualifying effort for them.
Side by side for P2, Will Barbagelata is going to clear Tony Manji out of the corner and give him a shove down the back straightaway. Now Manji goes for the inside again. Barbagelata shuts the door, and all that is allowing Hunter Madalinas to edge a little bit closer to the front of the field. He'll have his teammate waiting for him there in Elliott Henderson once he gets there, but for now, they are stacked up for second as Elliott scampers away out front. Now here goes Madalinas down the inside of Tony Manji.
Yeah, you saw Manji try to get to the inside of Barbagelata on the backstretch, and the 27 just kind of closed the door, and it just kind of slows the momentum of that 24 truck. And now you're kind of seeing the same thing where the 7 of Madalinas tried to pass Manji in the 24, and it kind of backed off his momentum to bring him back to jump. So yeah, it's really easy to try to make a pass and then kind of get stuck, you know, on a bad angle going into these corners. You really want to swing the corners to try to get the truck to turn through these wide corners at Texas, and if you don't, you can lose some momentum, and it's really easy to then get, you know, attacked from behind, as you see Jump trying to get to the inside of Madalinas here.
One of the unique things about this racetrack is just how wide the corners are. I mean, they're really high banked and they're really wide, so keeping that momentum up through the center is crucial. The other kind of side effect of that is that because you're carrying so much speed through the corners, this track tends to wear out the right rear pretty quickly. In fact, it depends on the setup. You might end up with a right front grader as well, but either way, you're going to get a high amount of tire wear just because these guys are going so fast in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, we see most of our drivers kind of single file now and kind of getting spread out a little bit, so that way you can at least then, you know, work on a driver to pass them without, you know, the fear of losing a bunch of spots because there's a bunch of drivers sitting behind you. But
oh, we got a spinner out of turn number 4. I believe it's the 23 of Spencer Owens spinning through the grass, and the caution is out for the first time tonight. Last week's winner goes around out of turn number 4 and brings it to a stop in turns 1 and 2 of the Legends Oval. Caution comes out for the first time tonight, and it is Spencer Owens who goes around.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. You know, it doesn't look like, at least on the track map, that anyone else was involved, but obviously coming off of 4, sometimes you can get a little loose. We'll see. Looks like maybe that's the case.
Battling with the 8 of Terrell Baker. Back end starts to step out there, and yeah, he just lost it.
Yeah, that can sometimes happen here. Or you come off of 4 there, it's easy to feel it snap, and then either that wall is closes in off of 4 really quick, or you can slide. It was very close for, looks like maybe, I think it was Senzi that was behind him there. A couple of those drivers that were just right behind to avoid that 23 truck as it slid through. But this is a interesting time to have a caution because it's kind of somewhat halfway through, or probably not even halfway through a run here. So I think there'll be a lot of people that are going to try to pit here. Jared Duda in the 53 had a pre-race penalty from last week that he had to serve, so he gets to catch up for staying on the lead lap.
Got one truck staying out there in the back. It's the 3 of Adolfo Delgado making his first start in a couple of races here. Everybody else is going to hit pit road, and that makes sense. I think you want to get these tires off the car. The track is going to wear the tires the most after that first run, or sorry, during that first run of the race when everything is green and not yet rubbered in. So I think it makes sense to come down, get those tires off, and get new ones on.
Yeah, and you have obviously 4 tires and fuel throughout the field here. You're going to have 6 sets of tires tonight, so you have some flexibility to be able to come get these, even though you didn't make it a fuel run tonight. It's going to be probably on the far end, closer to 40 laps. So here on lap 19, I guess that it would be half of a fuel run, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see that 3 truck staying out might be a little bit in trouble. We'll see how that goes, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see these drivers. Maybe who knows? Maybe he'll pit this time. Not sure.
Yeah, he is probably going to get swallowed up here if he doesn't come down pit road, but, we'll see. We'll see what happens. If we're going off of a 40-lap run, just doing some math here, working backwards from 150, your final stop would have to come in around 110. Second to last stop would need to come in around 70, and then before then you would need to stop around lap 30. So we got a little bit closer to that lap 30 mark to cut out a pit stop of the race, but not quite. I am also hearing from Jeff that these guys have been given 5 extra sets, so everyone has 4 except for Adolfo. And if we go off of our stop strategy, let's see, you'd need to stop at, if we're just working backwards from the end here, 30, 70, 110. So theoretically, you need 3 more tire sets to make the end of the race. I think everyone should be okay, but Delgado does still have 1 up on them if things work out in a certain way. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I think that there's nothing wrong when you're a driver that's part-time, like this 3 truck or any of these drivers that are not really racing for points, which is the majority of the field tonight, to try to do something different because you want to roll the dice and do something a little different. But I've always been the guy that I'll save a set of tires, but maybe still restart in the back just because. In order to use those tires later, you got to make sure that you're okay, and survive this restart. We'll see if the 3 can do it. But now we see the 71 of Christian Peterson, one of our championship contenders this year, that is back on track after multiple connection issues. Looks like he's going to be about 18 laps down before getting back on track here.
So we say welcome to Christian Peterson. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to mean much in the race, but still nice of him to show up. He'll be here when Hunter Madalinas crosses the line to finish out his championship season. We are now going to line up double file for this restart. It will be Adolfo delgado starting P1 alongside Elliot Henderson, and row 2 will go to Barbara Gelada and Hunter Madalinas. Got to feel a little bit for Barbara Gelada because he's going to have to start right behind those old tires in front of him.
Yeah, and there's not much, here in Texas, we talked about that, shortcut in the grass. There's not much options for a truck that is going to be on old tires. A lot of times when this happens, a lot of drivers will say, hey, this is the strategy I want to run, but I'm going to give you guys the room and try to get out of your way. There's not a lot of options on that front stretch here, so it'll be interesting to see these drivers. Hopefully they're patient enough to know, obviously they're all aware of what the 3 trucks got for tires, and we'll see if we can navigate this restart.
I mean, it's a very narrow racetrack. We talk about it being wide, but I was pretty much talking in terms of the lanes you can use. In terms of actual width, it's not that wide, and the front straightaway especially kind of bottlenecks. So we will see how this restart plays out. Delgado has control over Elliot Henderson. He's into the restart zone now. The green flag is back out, and we're back underway. Good jump by the outside line. Henderson has Madalinas all over him as they go into turn number 1. Barb's going to go to the inside of Delgado, who's going to be stuck in the middle, and around he goes. Up into the 6 of Jackson Sims. Maji spins on the bottom as well, as does Nathan Jump. It's chaos in the middle of 1 and 2. Maji goes fully around, but I think only 1 truck fully spun from that.
Yeah, and I saw that the 1 truck of Jared Darling kind of got turned into the wall. I think he's going to have some damage to work on that right front. But yeah, that's what we thought was a chance that was going to happen with those old tires. I think the 3 got pushed to the middle, and then it just obviously everybody wanting to follow the other lanes, that makes it really tough to go 3 wide into 1.
Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of the field isn't going to be too happy with Delgado after that. You see, he just gets into the side of Jackson Sims and turned down into Barbagelata, and not much anybody else could do from there. I'm hearing some yelling on the radio, so I can't quite make out any of what it says, but it doesn't sound too positive.
I did hear the six of Sims just saying that by the time that they, the spotter called out 3 wide, it was too late. So obviously really late where they were officially 3 wide there. So you want to kind of give the break, I guess, to some of these drivers when that happens. But yeah, it's gonna the 41 who had maybe a chance to win tonight, the 24. At least going to be behind the game now with whether they have damage or not, or at least losing some track position with this. Got a mix of drivers pitting. I imagine most of them just checking damage or fixing damage if they have some.
Yeah, Manji's got a little bit of damage. I think everyone else is mostly clean. Here's Nathan Jump's perspective. He kind of gets turned around from behind. His truck looks relatively clean as well, though, so he should be okay.
I did the spin and kind of drove away. Got a couple bumps here and there, but yeah, it looks like he pitted along with Barbagelata in the 27, the 6 of Sims, 44 of Matt Durr, and then I'd mentioned that one truck of Jared Darling kind of late there, kind of got turned to the right towards the wall, and he's working on damage right now on pit road 2.
I didn't even see Jared Darling get involved. That's unfortunate for him. And Darling also, like I said at the start of the show, he started or qualified in P3, but had to drop to the back after a penalty from last week. There were a decent amount of those, by the way, good amount of penalty points just after the chaos that was Rockingham. I think these drivers are excited to return to a bit more of a normal track today.
Yeah, this is an interesting kind of spot. You talked about, getting close to maybe that lap 30 mark. We're a little bit short of it here, but since everybody pitted, you got a lot of the on the previous caution, and obviously we didn't go very far because having a wreck on the restart into 1 there. You could have some of these drivers that decide to fix damage and top off. It looks like pretty much 15th on back, at least either pitted for fuel or pitted to fix damage. So yeah, just being able to go a little bit farther, because on a mile and a half like Texas, like you expect to at least have a green flag pit stop, and hopefully we will tonight. If you can run a little bit farther than everybody else, it's a awesome strategy to maybe have, because you never know when a caution could fall and help you get some track position.
Yeah, and really you always got to be conscientious of fuel mileage. I feel like most of the times when I'm racing in a longer race like this, I mean, every time a caution comes out, I'm kind of counting backwards from the end. Okay, at what point can I pit and make it, with one less stop? Because really that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to pit at a time that you can cut out a green flag stop. So I don't think we're quite in the window for that yet, because 40 was kind of at the upper edge of what these guys would be able to do, but we're getting closer.
Yeah, so now we're going to have that 7 truck of Madalinas, our champion. Going to start the outside of teammate Elliot Henderson. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure, you mentioned, if you're Madalinas, you've had such a great season, winning so many races. And you talk about Henderson not winning. I don't know if Madalinas is the type of guy to give a teammate a break, but we'll see. Maybe be interesting to see them battle straight up here and see what happens. But yeah, a lot of drivers now up in the top 11 that really started mid-pack or back because they've been able to jump some positions with that incident that took out a lot of drivers, or at least slowed a lot of our drivers that were running into the top 10 to start this race.
Yeah, Terrell Baker definitely made a lot of gains off of that. He was running at the outside end of the top 10. Now he is going to restart in P3 behind the leader.
Only problem is he's starting on the bottom. He's the guy that wants to get to the top, so we'll see if he can do that.
Yeah, every time we go to a race where the top is viable, I mean, that A truck is just right up there as soon as he can be. It's really fun to watch. All right, pace truck is in. We are going to go back into the restart zone once again. We are back green on lap 26, rolling 27. Here we go. Matthew Weeks, big dive to the bottom there. He's going to get in line in front of Shane Neiswanger. Madalinas getting hung out to dry just a little bit. And here comes Baker. Gets a little sideways off too, but Elliott can't quite close the door. Down into turn number 3. That number 8 Budweiser truck is looking strong on the restart. He'll power to the inside of Henderson and take the lead away.
You know, that's kind of very similar to what Jump did on the first start to Henderson as well. You know, so I guess Henderson maybe just a little bit struggling on the restart as far as where to go, and there's that 8 truck even in the lead running way up top here. It's going to give Elliott a chance to get to the inside.
Elliott gets to the inside briefly, but he's not able to keep it down the front or back straightaway. He's going to fire another one off into turn number 3 with Baker running that seam. I think he's going to keep it, and Madalinas sideways out of turn number 4. He saves it. Whoa, more contact. Moore and Nicewanger get together.
Yeah, the drivers behind Madalinas there were all, you know, thinking 3 wide, and then you had the 7 truck of Madalinas kind of get loose off the corner and stacked them up even more. So, yeah, just trying to keep it straight here through that narrow front stretch. Now down the back stretch, you got Nicewanger kind of bouncing off the wall 3 wide into 3.
Jared Duda on the bottom, going to clear Senzi and Fitzgerald. Can he get Nicewanger as well? Shane's number 49 is looking loose, and Duda's 53 is looking fast. He'll get around the 49 for P6.
Slides up in front of Nicewanger to get that arc back into the corner. See Gavin Fitzgerald now to the outside in that 63 truck of around Nicewanger here.
Fitzgerald and Nicewanger are going to go at it for one more set of turns, but I think Fitzgerald's going to have it out of turn number 4. Behind them, Barbagelata running those 2 down as well with Senzi in tow. But they'll get single filed out. So the top 10 single file. Terrell Baker back to the outside wall. He's making pretty good time here on Henderson. Henderson makes up a little bit through the corner, but Baker just rockets down the straightaways.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Henderson's able to kind of get back to the 8 of Baker. I think that, yeah, just for whatever reason it was, like on the start, it seemed like that driver kind of behind was able to, you know, I guess Jump was to the outside of Henderson on the initial start and was able to get by Henderson. But yeah, this time it's Baker that's able to get that lead, and he's still running that top lane, and it gives Henderson the opportunity to catch up to him so much in the corners. But yeah, just using that momentum down the straightaway. I felt like that last time there, Henderson gained a ton on him. Now the 8 jumps back down to the bottom in 3 and 4. I think that's probably where you need to be, at least for now. Let those tires wear off before you jump to the top.
Yeah, Baker likes the top in 1 and 2, but not so much in 3 and 4. We'll see what he does here after losing a bit of ground last time. He goes to the bottom as well. But notice how Henderson is kind of turning into the corner a little earlier than Baker. I think that's going to help his tires in the long run, because Baker is kind of aggressively pulling down the hill. So while he does widen out the corner a little bit, I think he's having to use more tire, kind of making that sharp turn.
Yeah, it's all about, yeah, look at that 8 truck sliding off of 4. It's yeah, he's not afraid to use it. It looks like Henderson's gonna get to the inside here into 1.
See if Henderson can take the lead away. Baker up on the boards is not gonna have. Oh, he's gonna stay with him. Baker stays on the outside into turn 3. We'll see if Henderson has it this time. By Henderson on that white line. Baker moving down the track just a little bit, but he cannot hold him off. Elliott Henderson back to the point at Texas. Jared Duda has entered this conversation as well. He's up in a P4, and he's only won 1 time this season, but after last week's disappointing result at Rockingham, I mean, he was so fast in that race, only to come away with a DNF, really. I think Duda might have something to play for here.
Yeah, definitely had a great job on the restart here, kind of gaining some positions, getting himself up here into the battle with the leaders. But yeah, that's at moments last week had that he was at a different zip code for most of that race. But yeah, unfortunately, you know, getting caught up in some incidents that ended his day.
For second, Madalinas is going to take that spot away from Terrell Baker. That'll make it an E95 1-2. Give a shout out, by the way, to Gavin Fitzgerald. He's also had a little bit of a struggling season. Seems like for the most part, when he has a good run, something happens to ruin it. But he's having another solid run tonight, up inside the top 10, out of his usual office, I guess. Normally, like I said, he's in the number 14 truck tonight. He is guest starring in that 63.
And like you mentioned, the 63 is a truck that you got to have on track in the Great Lakes Truck Series. But I'm thinking so is the 14. So I guess the 63 gets first choice though, and I'm glad he was able to get behind the wheel since Eric isn't here tonight. But yeah, running up in 8th now in front of Nicemonger, or looks like now it's Barber Gelada behind him, looking to his inside down the front stretch.
And Elliot Henderson has lost a little bit of his lead. He's got Hunter Madalinas behind him, reeling him down just a little bit. The long runs have really been where Hunter has thrived this season. Although this race, like I said, he didn't really get that much practice in during the official practice session. Not sure what he did extracurricularly, so to speak, if he was able to get any practice in before the session opened. But at least in the session, he did not put down that many laps. So Madalinas might be a little bit on the back foot here, but he definitely looks strong right now.
It's interesting to see as we got on our ticker the laps since their last pit, and yeah, we have Barber Gelada now who did top off on that last caution up into the top 10, and then so is Fitzgerald. So some of these drivers that will maybe be able to go a lap or two extra than these front runners if we're able to get to the green flag pit stop about halfway through this run now, as Madalinas is trying to get to the outside of Henderson here.
Remember, your target lap is 70, although I doubt that any of these guys are going to make it all the way there, so we'll see how close they can push it. Hunter Madalinas has gotten to the outside of Elliot Henderson. Henderson drifts up the track just a little bit, and Madalinas, with that nice wide arc, is going to take the lead away, so your champion has taken the race lead here at Texas. Oh, show it again, yeah. He is your Season 10 champion. For those unaware.
I think for some of us, we knew that maybe a week or two ago, just based on how that 7 truck has been able to run this year. Yeah, they're even flashing on the screen, making sure everyone is aware. But yeah, not only battling for this championship, but a producer note from Jeff is that Madalinas and Jump both currently hold the record, a tie record of 7 wins in a season. So if Madalinas was able to get win number 8 tonight, that would break that record that he currently now shares with Nathan Jump.
Baker Wayloos out of turn number 4 has lost another spot, this time to Will Barber Gelada, and he continues to run the wall. So not sure that strategy is working out for him, but I think he's having a fun time up there. Another driver I want to give a call to is Brent Kincott. We have seen him struggle a good amount this season, but right now he is running up inside the top 15. Right now running in 13th, so good night for that number 5 truck.
Yeah, another full-timer, or at least for most races in the Great Lakes Truck Series for multiple seasons. It's awesome to see a good group tonight, and most of our usuals racing. I guess other than Eric Kep, but I'm just picking on him. But yeah, it's awesome to see some of these drivers. You get a little bit of that mix-up from that restart. You got some drivers up here now that get a chance to race up in the top 10 and race around either some of the drivers they always race around, who they get to now battle for a top 10 position, or race around some people maybe they don't get the opportunity to run with at times.
Yeah, because Texas is one of those tracks that we don't really go to anymore in the top 3 series of NASCAR, it's one that a lot of guys really aren't familiar with, kind of like Rockingham in that sense. So I think you kind of get the effect of bringing new names towards the front. You know, we're seeing that now with Gavin Fitzgerald running in P8, Austin Moore up in the top 5, and Hunter Madalinas leading, but not flying away with the race like we've seen so many other times this season. So it's an opportunity for different drivers to make their names known.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see now.
Oh, trouble. Turn number 4. I think Lewis Woodall and Brent Kincott got together. Woodall in the grass, going to save it and get back up on the racetrack. It was a close call there with Sims and Manji, but they all kept it going. So near disaster, but we stay clean and green.
Yeah, Lewis had gotten up into the top 12 there through this last caution and restart. And yeah, it looks like it just kind of came up on the 5 truck there exiting the corner.
Yeah, it kind of came up. Kincott didn't really have the spot either, so kind of 2 drivers going for the same piece of real estate with a closing rate that was just a little bit too fast. Meanwhile, up front, Elliot Henderson has narrowed the gap just a little bit. It was about 0.2. It is now just 0.1 of a second, with Matthew Weeks on the bumper of both of them. We were talking to Matthew Weeks after Rockingham last week, and he said that he felt pretty good about this race, and right now he is showing some strong race pace up in 3rd.
Yeah, a couple tenths faster than... Oh, now we got a caution. Looks
oh,
like
caution.
Looks like we got somebody around here.
Rod Fasnaugh backwards in turn 4. He was not having a great day, just inside the top 20, and I think it's gotten just a little bit worse. Let's take a look at a replay. Oh, he got hard turned by the 93 of Evan Snyder.
Yeah, I don't know. We kind of got, or the first view of that was kind of almost just as it was happening. I don't know if they were going for the same piece of real estate here or...
Oh, well, I say he got turned, but I think that was the effect. It looks more so like he cleared himself. I think, if we go on board here, it looks like he was trying to make a pass on the 93 by kind of getting underneath him and then accelerating into the open space in front. But I just think he misjudged how much speed he would be able to make up in the middle of a corner. So take a look. He gets to the bottom, and I think he wants to slot in front of the 93, but behind the 13. And he just kind of got it wrong.
I've noticed even with this, it's really easy when you do get to someone's outside to kind of almost use them up a little bit, or at least you feel like you can. But if you're not, wheel to wheel with them, it's pretty easy if you're off center like that to just get turned just like that. So it's one thing you kind of got to be careful if you do kind of try to use somebody up to your outside. If you're not even with them, you're going to go around. But yeah, it looks like everybody taking this opportunity to get 4 tires and fuel.
It's a good racecraft lesson to learn, which is you can't really establish the position of the car on your outside if you're not in a position to push them out of the way. I think if Fasnaugh, sorry, I just forgot who had gotten turned. If Fasnaugh had wanted to kind of push the 93 a little bit wide and just kind of run a wider line, that'd be one thing. But he was clearly trying to slot into that spot, and he just didn't have enough overspeed to do it. So I think that he had a good idea, but wasn't quite in a position to execute it.
And you can, here at Texas, kind of almost pull that slide job into 3 and 4 and drive in. But you could tell when that Ford truck entered the corner, he kind of almost let off before, Snyder did on the outside. So maybe a little bit more throttle, he would have had a chance at it. But it looks like with all these drivers pitting, Christian Peterson's going to try to get a lap back here by staying out and taking the wave around. He's still about 16 down, so it's going to be a lot more work for this 71. But I appreciate the effort to try to get back closer to the pack, or at least be on, at least within 10 laps maybe by the end of this thing.
A 17 down just means you need 16 more cautions to get back on the lead lap. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I guess you never know. I think we've had some moments this year where we've had. I don't even want to bring it up, but we've had those moments. But we'll see. We'll see. Now this kind of, we saw a couple of those drivers that previous caution kind of come in and work on damage, and they were just a little bit off strategy by a lap or two. I was kind of looking forward to seeing what potentially would have brought. What that would have brought with green flag pit stops, but now this one is a hard reset. We're getting everybody back on the same strategy, I guess, other than that 71 that's taking the wave. But it'll be now being 100 laps to go, like you talked about. That's kind of not where our magic number is yet. You got to get to about lap 70 here to be at that. So about half a run to get to where that magic number is that you mentioned earlier in this race.
I think it'll be a 2-stop from here on out, regardless of how you play it. We'll see if anyone wants to go long, go short. We saw a lot of that in the Cup Series, by the way, at Homestead, Miami. That was a great race, and I wonder if some of these drivers are thinking about how that played out and maybe trying to work their strategy off of that. I know going long, a favorite strategy of Denny Hamlin and a favorite strategy of some of the drivers in this league. So we'll see how that plays out if we even get to green flag stops on this restart. Ross, we're 2 runs into this race now. Who is looking strong? I like that 37 truck.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be awesome to see what these teammates do here. They're gonna have a restart. I think that 56 of Weeks, this is about the closest he's been up to the front. We'll see how he can do on this restart here and this run.
Green flag is back in the air. Hunter Madalinas gets away well, and that'll let Elliot Henderson slot into the bottom. So Madalinas, Henderson, Weeks going to be your top 3 on the bottom. That seems to be the preferred line on the restart, especially with these trucks. I mean, you're not going fast enough to be anything but flat out through those first 2 corners. Fitzgerald steps out of line in the back. He's looking to put a move on into turn number 3. He's looking to get around the 92 of Senzi. They're side by side from 4th on back, but your top 3 are breaking away.
Yeah, just a close quarters racing here after the restart. That pretty intense when you see these drivers, how close they get, and you kind of do the swing off of the corner sometimes down the straightaways, and it's like, man, they get so close to each other down this right here as they go down the backstretch.
Well, what's nice about this track is that it's kind of too narrow to fan out too wide, so these restarts tend to be pretty clean. I think things get more sketchy as you keep going. Whoa, never mind, Jared Duda, hard in the wall. Baker jump involved as well. Weeks turned. Caution is out again. That was great timing there. Just as I was saying how clean these restarts are, we just took out some of the strongest cars in this race. I was thinking Duda was running a little too low, and yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, and it looked like the Weeks and Duda there kind of both kind of going up the track and then kind of connecting, and that sent both of them, Duda much worse up into the wall, and maybe a little bit of.
Ooh, I think there might have been a little bit of aero contact, if you will. Nah,
Sure.
this isn't iRacing. I can say it. Oh, and then he ran right into the 41 of jump. And then disconnected. Okay, interesting gambit there by Jared Duda, trying to get a one-up on the competition by leaving after wrecking them. Sorry, it's probably a little too sarcastic. Yeah, but it looks like he was just running kind of low on the track. Weeks drifted up a slight bit, but I think there might have been some netcode that started that, and then Duda just kind of let it roll into that 41.
Yeah, and your Weeks there, you're probably not expecting a car to your outside, and even if you do get a mention from your spotter, you're probably not able to make that distinction right away, and maybe got a little loose too. But yeah, you saw the 8 truck gets turned here. That's gonna be a lot of damage to work on there too.
Yeah, Baker had nowhere to go. I mean, he was just minding his business on the bottom and got clipped, shot. I don't know what the right word is, in the right rear, and slammed into the outside wall. That was a hard hit for Baker. We'll go on board with Duda here, and yeah, he's just, to be honest, he's just running too low. There's a little bit of netcode there, but I mean, you got to anticipate that. Can't be going that low, especially not on someone's right rear, and especially not on lap 54 of a race. Oh, and he might have gassed it up into the 41 too. I can't hear the audio of the onboard, but it looked like he sped up a little bit. Tough exit for Jared Duda.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks of not being able to finish the race after having a fast truck, but yeah, hopefully we get this cleaned up a little bit, and a couple drivers pitting, a lot of them obviously with damage here, but our front runners staying out. But free pass 71 of Christian Peterson, now 15 laps down.
I was joking about him getting all those laps back earlier, but I guess it is possible. And you really got to feel bad, by the way, for Matthew Weeks, because he did nothing wrong, and he had such a fast truck. I really had wanted to talk about how he was altering his line just a little bit from the 7 to the 37, and I think it was really going to help him on the long run, and we saw that in the second run of the race, but not going to mean much now.
Yeah, it looks like for sure, obviously Duda towed and he's done, but it looks like Weeks still fixing damage, so he's got significant damage. Jump is also still fixing damage, so his night is pretty much done as well. So a few others that are on pit road: Fosna, the 44 of Matt Durr, Jared Darling in the 1 truck. I know he had some damage from earlier caution, and the 8 of Tyrell Baker is also, of course, on pit road right now too.
Yeah, and you really got to feel for Matthew Weeks. I mean, he had a very strong rookie campaign and just not able to close out the deal on the first win, and it's not going to be today either, but he is definitely going to be a driver to be reckoned with in his second season. I think the more experience he gets, the more dangerous he's going to be, so to speak. So watch out for him in future seasons of Great Lakes competition. All right, so we're coming up on another restart. We'll have about 94 laps to go in this race. Again, it's a two-stop from here, anywhere you slice it. Hunter Madalinas has led the majority of this race ever since he took over from Elliot Henderson, but Henderson has looked to have maybe just a slight leg on him on the long run, so we'll see how that plays out. Neither of them looked particularly strong compared to Matthew Weeks, so there might be a little bit of an opening there for another driver looking to get involved. And in terms of the points, that is going to shift things back in favor of Elliot Henderson, who is going to try and nab second from Peterson as well, although Henderson would need to, looks like he would need to win the race if he wants to do that, because as it stands now, Henderson in P2 is not enough for him to take that spot from Christian.
You know, Peterson's going to get a couple spots here if he's able to continue to run, just because he's multiple laps down, just waiting for other drivers to have issues tonight.
All right. We are back green at Texas. Good restart for the top two. Bit of a stack up on the way back. Gavin Fitzgerald, not a great restart. Spencer Owens gets a good one. He dives to the bottom. That's your last week's winner. He's recovered nicely from an early spin to re-enter the top 10. 3 wide on the back. Caressel on the high side.
Yeah, some of these drivers, because we've had some bigger accidents that maybe got cycled out because of previous incidents, or at least started in the back, they're now up near the front. I think, you know, Nicewonger and Barbara Gelada, this is kind of the closest they've been up to the front now, running up in that top 5. A lot of these drivers having a chance tonight to go up here and try to race those E95 teammates.
Power move by Gavin Fitzgerald. He got 2 trucks in 1 in turns 1 and 2 that last time by. He's up into the top 5 and looking for more as he tracks down the 49 of Shane Nicewonger. Now Sensei's going to rally back on the high side. They'll be side by side out of turn number 4.
I was going to say, yeah, that outside lane, Sensei kind of was able to just, you know, go where Fitzgerald isn't and try to get to his outside in 3 and 4, and here in 1 and 2 just a little bit higher too. Just trying to find a spot on that outside of that 63 truck, try to get around him.
Everybody electing to run the bottom here through the corners. Makes sense. These tires haven't quite lost their grip yet. I think as handling comes a little bit more at a premium, these guys are going to be moving up.
Sensei's going to try to look into the inside here of Fitzgerald. That'll work better here if he's able to just stay with that 63 truck down the backstretch.
Sensei down low trying to get the spot from Gavin, but Gavin's going to shut the door into turn number 3. In fact, he's going to shut the door and try and pass the 49 truck. So Gavin Fitzgerald on the move again. You can tell he's feeling confident. They'll have the nose side by side with Shane Nicewonger down the front straightaway. They'll be even into turn number 1. Here comes Gavin. That highline, though, looks strong through 1 and 2. It's a little weaker in 3 and 4, but the momentum just too much to contend with at that first end of the racetrack.
And you saw it worked for Nicewonger to kind of defend Fitzgerald. Now Sensei is going to try it. I think if he could stay on that outside through 3 and 4, he does down the backstretch here. We'll see if he can kind of do the same thing Nicewonger did in 1 and 2 last time.
Michael Sensei, another driver who's had a little bit of a disappointing season so far. Not able to capture a win, been a little bit lackluster in the consistency department, but we've seen flashes of greatness from him, and we might be seeing that again tonight. He's up into the top 5.
Didn't get through 1 and 2 using that top lane as well as I thought he would, and 3 and 4. Yeah, like you said, it kind of almost just, you kind of have to survive the top lane in 3 and 4, and then hopefully make it work in 1 and 2.
And for the lead, Elliot Henderson's going down the inside of Hunter Madalinas. Hunter going to hang on for now, but Henderson has a decent run off the corner. Healy's going to lose too much momentum, though. And here comes Will Barbagelata to the bottom. Weird observation, but I think a lot of these guys are turning in too late for the corners. Notice how they have to kind of force their truck down the racetrack? That's what Matthew Weeks wasn't doing, and I think that's why he was a little bit more successful on the long run than these guys. Take a look at this. Yeah, notice how they're kind of turning late into the corner. The banking starts pretty early. You don't really have to do that.
Yeah, and I think some of these drivers, I think you kind of feel like you have to do that almost on defense if there's someone behind you. A lot of them, obviously, if there's no one behind you, yeah, why would you kind of burn up your stuff or at least slow your momentum in the middle of the corner by chopping that entry? But yeah, I think that it could be maybe a little bit too aggressive, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that's something that we continue to see tonight. Now that Barbergelata up to second, I'd be really surprised if he doesn't do something here with Madalinas. He's been slowly just moving up towards the lead, or at least up towards the front here throughout this entire race.
Well, I think the main thing that late entry kind of does is it opens up a lane on the bottom. I mean, it'll allow someone to kind of get down to the inside. It opens up the passing opportunities. So just an interesting observation there. I saw Matthew Weeks was not really doing that earlier on and was running these guys down in the long run. This battle, by the way, continues on for 5th. Senzi and Fitzgerald have been putting up a great show with Spencer Owens looking behind. A little bit of smoke out of turn number 4 and a slow truck on the apron. Not sure what's up with that. The aid of Terrell Baker.
Yeah, just was trying to stay on the lead lap here. He's going to go a lap down and looks like probably going to pit here.
Here comes Spencer Owens to the inside of Gavin Fitzgerald. Last week's winner looking to crack into position number 6. Fitzgerald's going to fight back on the high side. He's going to wash up the track a little bit. Owens keeps a good run on the bottom. Going to be side by side down the back straightaway. Gavin Fitzgerald inching ahead as they go into 3. Owens going to send it off into the corner a little bit earlier. Nice run through the center. I think Owens is going to have it out of 4. Ooh, maybe not. Gavin got a better exit than I expected, and they stay side by side.
See what he's able to do in 1 and 2. Nice job by Owens to kind of drive it in there and get past the 63, and Fitzgerald's going to follow along.
We'll try to get around Michael Senzi now in the 8,008,135 truck. Senzi up high. Here comes Owens on the bottom. You might have another one here out of turn number 4. Yeah, good run by Spencer Owens. Senzi not able to fight back on the high side. Owens going to enter the top 5. This track in Rockingham, they're not all that dissimilar. High banks, lots of bumps, lots of tire wear.
Yeah, I mean, spin and win. Could we use that one tonight if Owens is able to rebound from that slide he did through the grass early on in this race? Now having a shot at least running up here in the top 5.
That would definitely be impressive. We've seen Spencer Owens do it before, though.
How about Christian Peterson now running, though he's many laps down, running on track in the top 10.
Well, he's having a little fun, I think.
Yeah, well. Good for him. I guess. Yeah, I don't know what was causing. I saw, to start this race before the race started, connected, disconnected multiple times. So obviously some kind of mechanical issue, we'll say. But yeah, it's nice to at least see that he's gotten back on track and hopefully he's having some kind of fun tonight.
Tony Mangi's up into P6, and I think Mangi is a driver to look out for. He was the fastest truck in practice, got caught up in that early wreck with Adolfo Delgado. But right now he is back up into P6. That number 24 truck has not found victory lane yet, but he's had a couple of good flashes throughout the year, so maybe look for him to move up towards the front.
Yeah, just always has speed and able to run good. Almost every track we've gone to this year, it's been awesome to see. But yeah, it just hasn't been able to get the win, and I imagine that's obviously last chance to do it, and that's probably something he's looking at hopefully doing tonight.
And Mangi, he does have another advantage here, which is teammates. He's on Mangi Motorsports, obviously, and that means that he's teammates with Christian Peterson, and well, look who he has right behind him, Christian Peterson. So could we see these two working together to kind of bump draft towards the front of the field? I think that'd be an interesting strategy, especially in a car that's pretty draft dependent. This truck, it's hard to make time on your own. Well, maybe never mind, because Peterson's going to go right around him.
And it's 71 of Peterson. He got the free pass that last caution and was and then pitted. So his tires would be just a lap or two better, but not much. So this is a great job by him to drive up there and show at least show that he had speed tonight if he didn't have all those issues at the beginning of the race.
We got a lap truck falling through the running order, and side by side behind, Lewis Woodall on the outside of Aiden DuPont. They're going to go side by side into turn number 1 with Robin Durr waiting in the wings behind. I think Woodall's going to have the spot on the outside. DuPont a little sideways on the bottom. Whoa, big sideways for Aiden DuPont. Nearly looped it out of turn number 2. Good save by the 00 truck. He's going to keep it going.
I was just waiting for that truck to kind of reconnect with the asphalt, and when it finally did, it kind of was going back the other way. And now you got Lewis.
Oh, and Lewis Woodall getting sideways as well.
Crazy. These guys in the back here sliding around, and hopefully they're having fun with it. But yeah, it's all over the place right now.
Yeah, this is a difficult track to manage, and Brett Kingott, by the way, has entered the top 10. He's around Austin Moore, and he is now inside the top 10, so great showing for that number 5 truck. Sims and Fitzgerald side by side as well. That's for P9. Jackson Sims on the bottom trying to take the spot away. Fitzgerald started off the run strong and has fallen back just a little bit on the long run. I think one of the things that's aiding Kingott right now is he's one of the only drivers who has moved up towards the fence. Not on the wall, but he's running higher.
And it'll be only probably about 10 laps away from potentially a pit stop here, so or I guess a little bit more than 10 laps, but yeah, we'll see what this is. A very tough entrance to pit road. You got to make sure you're letting drivers around you know when you're pitting, which is not fun. I'm the guy that likes to see the strategy and maybe try to surprise my competitors, and you can't really do that when you have to also be a gentleman and let them know when you're pitting. So yeah, when you come off this high bank and try to get down to pit lane here, it can be a little treacherous.
Brent's lining up a pass for P9. Gavin Fitzgerald is struggling just a little bit on the bottom. That number 5 truck has his number. Down into turn number 1. Kingott back to the outside. He's been getting closer and closer to the outside wall, but in 1 and 2, I've noticed he kind of likes to drive down the racetrack. So he'll start up high and then kind of pull it down throughout the corner. Fitzgerald slow off. Here comes Brent to the inside. Side by side to turn number 3. And I think he'll have it if he just throws it into the corner. Yes, sir. Brett Kingott up to P9.
Yeah, we've seen Fitzgerald a couple times tonight. Even just you see him pushing the 5 truck a little bit down the front stretch. I think yeah, once someone gets to Gavin, he's open to letting them go. And we'll race at a different time. Now he's going to try looking back on the inside here in 1 and 2. That 5 truck's going to have the momentum on the outside.
Kingott tagged the wall just a little bit. That kind of speaks to how the exit of turn 2 kind of tightens up. Now he's getting really close to the wall, running all the way above that 3rd seam. And for 2nd, Elliot Henderson has powered around the 27 of Will Barbagelata. So Henderson back to 2nd, making it an E95 1-2 as they look to close out the team championship. And at the moment, that is looking all but certain. Tony Maggi, the highest running Maggi Motorsports truck in P5, not going to cut it.
I just kind of looked over, and about the same time, Jeff switched over to see this battle of the 37 and the 27, and Henderson used the bumper a little bit in 3 and 4 to kind of push Barbagelata up the hill, and it not too much, just enough. I think that just kind of show he was there and slid on by. But yeah, maybe trying to get clear of that 27 and get around him before they have to deal with this lap truck of the 71. But yeah,
that was a little more of a little bump than I expected. Yeah. Had that inside. I mean, he was fully on the inside, and Barbs kind of came down the track into him. I think Henderson said, you know what? It's the last race of the season. I'm not lifting, and if you get into the wall, that doesn't seem like my problem. We'll take a look at a replay of it now.
I wonder if you see that 71 truck, the lap truck that is of Peterson that's slowly catching your mirror. Yeah, obviously you're gonna maybe lose some time if he's in your bumper, but you're just a little bit.
Yeah, fair play by Will to try and cut the 37 off. I just don't think he really got there in time. He entered a little too wide and left a little too much in it for that. Tony Maggi, by the way, has worked his way up into the top 5 and is currently working on running down the 49 of Shane Neiswanger. He's another driver who has been using the top line to gain an advantage, as we see another replay of the move there by Elliot Henderson. Fair play, I think. But out of turn number 2, Maggi's going to have the high side unless he gets tight. No, it's Neiswanger who gets tight instead. So Manji going to go down the inside with a heap of momentum into turn number 3, and he's got it. Tony Manji up to P4, 3.3 back from the leader, Madalinas. Manji's putting together a good run here. The real question at this point is what do you want to do about pit strategy? Because you're going to have to decide soon if you want to go early or late.
Yeah, I think all these drivers, at least in the top 10, all pitted on lap 47, so closing in on that 40 lap mark, even though a few of those laps, of course, under caution. Sounds like maybe Nicewanger is going to try to pit here. He is. Yes,
he is. Down pit road goes the 49, so he'll be your first taker. I don't really like going this early, but someone's got to do it. Whoa! But he doesn't have to spin. He's going to save it and keeps it off the inside wall. Good job by Nicewanger to gather it back up before that got any worse, and I don't think he lost too much time out of it.
Yeah, you just wonder, when you start to do that slide, it doesn't look like it, but when you start to do that slide, you kind of have to let off the brake to kind of catch it, and sometimes then you're speeding. So hopefully got that truck woed up enough to avoid that, but yeah, nice save either way.
Yeah, Manji, you see him up there ripping the boards. Owen's trying to run the middle, just can't get the same momentum, and that'll let Jackson Sims get down the inside. Sims doing the opposite of Tony Manji, because while Manji has moved up, Jackson Sims is running nice and low.
Well, he was Nicewanger pitted there, but also the 91 of Austin Moore. So a couple trucks here. It'll be interesting to see where they kind of cycle out, being the first ones to pit here. I think you're going to have
they'll definitely cycle out in front of Madalinas. I just don't think they'll be up there for long. But
sure.
Hey, you know me, I'm never a fan of the undercut. I'm sure some of these guys can make it work.
Yeah, and it's, the one thing that's nice about running the long way and going as long as you can is, as people are making those pit stops, that's when you're most likely to get that caution that if you're up near the front, then you can gain some track position. If you're Nicewanger here, you're hoping that this run goes all the way through, and once you get up into the lead, you get the caution then. But obviously, that's after everyone's pitted, and of course, then it's maybe a little tougher to get the caution. So I agree with you. I like to run as far as possible because there's maybe more opportunity for that lucky yellow to fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, running longer is always going to be the safer option, and I don't mean running like exponentially long. I just mean like within a reasonable amount going long. But of course, short pitting, I mean, it can work. If you come down pit road and as soon as you leave it, you get a caution. I mean, all that stuff about having worse tires at the back end of the run or whatever, I mean, it doesn't really matter because suddenly you can get back on the lead lap. At the same time, if you're able to pit, come out, get back on the lead lap, then get a caution, then you're even in a better position. Of course, you have a little bit older tires on the restart, but it's not by too much. In general, though, I do think it's better to run long. I think you want to have, I mean, especially on iRacing, when the tires, I mean, with some cars as exceptions, I mean, they kind of wear linearly, they get worse and worse, they never really balance out. In general, you want to have those fresher tires at the end of the run. So, in general, I think it's best to pit late, but sometimes early is the way to go.
Sounds like 5 of Brent Kingcott is maybe pitting this time. I think we're going to see a bunch of others coming down pit road here in the next lap or so. But just looking over at Nicewanger back on track, and almost a second and a half the first lap that he was on track.
Henderson's coming in as well. Henderson in from second.
Yeah, I think that the fall off is there to be able to gain some track position by pitting early here. We'll see where they cycle through. It's just a matter of how long they're able to stay out there on the older tires. It looks like Woodall on the back there.
Lewis Woodall sideways on pit road.
Yeah, he kind of did the
Anyways,
same thing.
Like I was saying, Nicewanger's last lap time, the first driver on track that is pitted was a 30.5. Madalinas, his last time was a 31.6. And now he brings it to pit road from the lead as well. So Elliott going to jump his teammate by 1 lap. Nicewanger, though, or not Nicewanger, Madalinas, very aggressive getting to pit road. He slid just a little bit. Did he make it down to pit road speed? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, you got Manji and Barber Gelada that are going to inherit the lead here, and they're battling for it. And looks like the 24 is going to try to pit here.
The drivers going long. Well, now he's coming in. Went longer, but now he's coming in.
Barbagelata to the outside. This is really tight here. Even a little bit of trade and paint as they come down pit road.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Will. He did everything he could to get side by side with Manji. Unfortunately, he is now on the outside of Manji, so he better hope that his pit box is after, or maybe they're both around the same. That always gets a little sketchy, but they're able to make it work. And for what it's worth, Hunter Manalinas pitted a lap later than Elliot Henderson and came out a good... Oh, and another spinner, Michael Senzi. Out of turn 4, and he's going to collect Eric Kempf. Or Gavin Fitzgerald. Sorry. Forgot that they switched for this week. So Gavin probably not too happy with Senzi, but nothing Senzi could really do there after he had spun. We'll keep it going. No caution.
No, I think you're right. Gavin is air kept. It's just his Halloween costume.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
But yeah, Gavin's got a little damage now to fix. I guess he's already to pit road, but I find it interesting. I was excited to see if this is something would happen here, but Nicholas Kressel was able to pit on that last yellow, and now he is staying on track a little bit longer. We're gonna see. We both talked about running a little bit longer if you can, and since he has a couple laps in the tank to be able to go a little farther, I think that's cool. Maybe that'll work out later. If we do another green flag pit stop too, but looks like he's gonna pit this time.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way any of these guys could extend it to a one stop. I think you're just too on throttle in the trucks to really save that much.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, Caressel's gonna bring it down, but he's definitely going long. And yeah, I mean, what I like about that is that you'll have more pace on the second half of the run. Very Denny Hamlin-esque.
And it looks like Matt Durr and Jared Darling kind of going to do the same thing here. Run a little bit farther than planned, at least as far as they can.
I mean, theoretically, if Durr and Caressel could make it to like another... No, there's no way they could cut out a pit stop. Sorry. No way you're saving that much.
I think that if you get to a point where some of these drivers that are running up near the front, they know that one of these runs here, if it stays green the rest of the way, they could cut down to 30 laps. So if you're Madalinas or Henderson, maybe you decide to short pit a little bit earlier. Next thing you know, these drivers that are running long, now they're going to be out there for 5, 10, 15 laps up near the lead, hoping for that yellow that'll give them the track position. So I think that you never know what could happen there. I don't blame them for giving that a try, but as we see here, the short pit of Neiswanger is going to get eaten up by the pitting on schedule of Madalinas.
Yeah, Shane Neiswanger, he got a couple of spots and a little bit of time out of that, but Hunter Madalinas just executed too well on pit road, so he is going to be able to make it back up to the lead. Out of that whole cycle, though, I got to say, I think the biggest winner, Tony Manji, because he's able to come in a little bit later than the drivers around him and still maintain track position and maintain time. He came in around 5 seconds back from Madalinas, and he exited only about 5.5 back. So Manji going to have slightly fresher tires and not that much distance to make up on this run.
I'll give another shout out. It's kind of same schedule. Right in front of him is Barbagelata. We saw him jump to the outside of Manji entering pit road, and they both pitted on the lap 91 there, or 92. Yeah, both of them. Now I kind of was interested to see where they were gonna get back on track because of Barbagelata being able to pass Manji entering the pit lane. So that was a great move, and now he's in front of the 24. I think both of these drivers are going to be able to at least try to close back up to that top 3. Obviously, they'll get Neiswanger at some point in this run too.
I mean, Manji's tires, they are a lap fresher than Madalinas's. They're about 7-8 laps fresher than Neiswanger's and 2 laps fresher than Henderson's. So that's a decent amount of advantage there for Tony Manji to be able to play with. Oh, we're working lap 100 now. We're going to come up on 50 laps to go. And looking throughout the field, who are your biggest surprises of the night so far? I'm going to go ahead and start with Spencer Owens because he started off not really on the pace, including a spin, but now he's running up in P6.
Yeah, I think when we had a couple of those incidents early on in the race, obviously Owens was kind of by himself, but we've had multiple incidents that, where a handful of drivers had to go fix damage. You're able to get back in this. And like we talked about, Owen's having a chance to do the spin and win, but hopefully, I think he's going to need a caution to get caught back up now. But yeah, ultimately, at least a great recovery. I see Sims and King Cop behind him. Both of those drivers also running up in the top 10. I think a solid night from both those drivers.
Yeah, Brett Kingcott has put together a great night so far. I would be really happy for him if he was able to walk out of here with a top 10 finish. And there is, by the way, a record on the line tonight. We alluded to it earlier in the race, but the record for the most wins of the Great Lakes Truck Series season is currently tied between Hunter Madalinas and Nathan Jump. Both of them have won 7 races in a season, setting the record. So if Hunter Madalinas can win another race tonight, that would break the record. A little something to add on to this race.
Well, Henderson's able to get to the inside of Niswonger here on the fresher tires, and pretty easy pass through. Got the run off of 2, and is able to kind of pass down the backstretch before entering 3.
There you go. So now the question, and I hate to be preemptive with this, but you kind of got to start thinking about when you're going to make that last stop of the race. I think the drivers are in a little bit of a more interesting position for this, because this run, you could extend the last one and benefit from going a little longer. This last run, I feel like the longest you could realistically go is to 125, because at that point you'd have 25 laps to go in the race, and that's a pretty even split. But you're going to have 2 short stints to the end here, so Ross, what do you think the best way is to play this?
Well, I think that it's really looking like, obviously, as it does many weeks in this series, you got a driver that's kind of got the control of this race in the 7 of Madalinas. So if you are Henderson, if you're Barber Gelada, I would do the opposite of whatever Madalinas does, and even if it's just go another lap or 2, just hoping for that caution. I think that running long here is probably going to be the best option. I think if you could split it in half. This last run here, if instead of going 40 laps and 25, maybe trying to get it closer to 30 each, that might not be a bad idea. But yeah, I think that with the 7 truck having now a 4-second lead through that pit stop, I think that your best bet is to just try to do something different if you want a chance to win this race.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't think there's anything you could really do to win this race, but you might be able to get second. Barber Gelada, by the way, he has ran down Elliott Henderson, so he has those 2-lap fresher tires, and last time by, he was a little bit faster than Elliott. That gap is 0.4 of a second, and in fact, looking at his overall time to the leader, it was around 5 seconds, and now it's 4.7, so 0.3 of a second down. A little something to keep an eye out for as Spencer Owens goes up the inside of Shane Niswonger to enter the top 5.
Yeah, I think Barber Gelada's really done a nice job tonight of a couple of those restarts. He was kind of, mired back in traffic and had some great restarts and kind of just slowly made his way up into the top 5 just before this long green flag run, and now taking advantage of running a little bit longer and just got a few lap fresher tires in this 37 truck, and it's going to give him a great opportunity to go try to get the second spot here in a few laps.
And actually, his last lap was 0.1 of a second faster than Hunter Madalinas's. So, Barber Gelada, I mean, he might have an outside shot at running down Hunter here. Not a good shot, but an outside shot. I would take that, As a driver, I would take that.
I think you're also going to get, now that we've gone a full green flag run, it's very easy now to have multiple, because obviously everyone's spread out. But then, as a leader of this race, now you're going to have lap traffic, and I see Madalinas kind of getting into the top 18 drivers on track and having to battle some of these drivers.
And he nearly made contact with Rod Fasnacht too.
I was just
got a little
say,
sketchy there going into turn 1.
You got to be careful as we're watching Barber Gelada try to getting around the lap truck of Darling here, who's I think got a little fresher tires.
And this would not be, by the way, the first time that Madalinas has ran into trouble with lap trucks. I don't know if you remember, but if we go back to Darlington, he ran into a late race incident with some lap trucks, and that nearly allowed Jared Darling to take the win from him. So definitely, you got to be careful when you're getting around these lap trucks. Will Bargelata on the inside of Elliott Henderson. Henderson trying to close up just a little bit, but I think Barb's on those 2-lap fresher tires is going to get the job done here into turn number 3. He's not quite clear yet, but he should be by the time they get to the center of the corner. Yeah, there it is. Bargelata up to P2.
Henderson kind of did a great job off of 2 there to kind of crowd the 27 enough that it kind of slowed his momentum to give him a chance. Now he's going to try to get back to the inside, enter in 1.
Crossover by the 37. Barb's going to crowd him into 1 and 2. Side by side, and Henderson's boxed in on the bottom. Nowhere for him to go. I think Will's going to have the run off, and he will keep it. So Bargelata up into second. He should be able to keep it this time unless Henderson can get a mega run out of turn 4. Don't think he'll be able to, though. So Will Bargelata can set his sights on running down Hunter Madalinas. Tony Manji just behind this battle as well. Manji might be looking to get up into the top 3.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see here if Henderson, this changes his strategy now that he's kind of losing ground to these drivers that he's racing as far as up in the top 5 here. If he's one of those guys that maybe tries to short pit this next time, or if he sticks with the plan.
Sorry, who was that about?
Henderson. I just thinking, backing up a little bit
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Obviously getting passed by the 27 and the 24. I always get in this spot where when I'm racing and all of a sudden you get to a point where you're losing ground, you're obviously you can't really do much on track, and the first thing you think is, okay, when's my next pit stop? You start thinking about when can I get some tires to do something different? So I just wonder if that's something that's on Elliott's mind here as far as when he's going to get that last pit stop. Maybe try something different here.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think the best thing he could do is probably pick up the pace a little bit. Sounds mean, but the 2-lap advantage is definitely helping these 2 drivers, but I don't know how much of a difference it's making. So we might just be seeing things starting to level out a little bit here. Elliott definitely a fast driver, but we have seen him struggle just a little bit on the long runs throughout the season. That being said, he is going back to the inside on Tony Manji. Thought he might be about to throw a slide job, but he actually kept it on the bottom. Elliott, whoa, gets turned by the 24 into the outside wall. Well, that's not what he needed. That is not what he needed at all.
Yeah, that was just a matter of just kind of perfect spot for, or not so perfect spot for them to kind of come together there off of the corner. But yeah, now the 6 of Jackson Sims able to pass on the outside for 4th.
See a little bit of damage on the right front of that 37 truck. Might hurt him a little bit. This is a pretty aero-dependent track. Let's take a look at what happened. Manji had just a huge run off the high side. Elliott kind of shot up in front of him and just got put in the wall off the front bumper of the 24. Pretty hard to assign any specific blame there. Although Elliott, actually, you know what? Looking at it again, I think he got a little loose in the center of the corner, or exit of the corner, and that kind of shot him up at an unnatural angle. So it might have been that. I don't know. Nicholas Caressel, by the way, on those fresher tires, has worked his way up inside the top 10 and is now working down the inside of Brent Kincott. Caressel was the last driver to pit of that last cycle. His tires are about 5 laps fresher than Kincott's and 11 laps fresher than Shane Neiswanger, and it's starting to show.
Yeah, another driver
For the record, we are in the pit window. These drivers could pit now and make it to the end of the race. Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up another driver that I think we just saw him get around Henderson after Elliott had that issue, is the 6 of Jackson Sims. Now, I think he's got a chance here at a top 3 run if it keeps going the way it is. He's got, just a lap or 2 fresher tires than this the 24 and the 27 here, and been slowly creeping in on those guys as they were racing each other around Henderson. So, yeah, look at the 6 of Sims here having a chance to maybe get a top 3.
Yeah, I feel like these past 2 weeks we've seen a lot of drivers that haven't really shined throughout the season starting to shine just a little bit more. We obviously saw Spencer Owens and Jared Darling go at it last week. This week, Jackson Sims and Tony Manji making their names heard. 30 to go. And Shane Neiswanger is on pit road again. In fact, he is leaving pit road.
Yeah, we'll have to see where this cycles out. It's going to be even tougher this time to get all the way past Madalinas like he did the previous run. So we'll see if he has that chance to at least get up there and have a shot, and then see where a potential yellow would fall. That's what some of these drivers that are pitting early are hoping, that we get all the way through the fuel run, and then maybe give them a late yellow to kind of reset everybody. But it'll be something we'll have to see if it happens. Now with everyone spread out, it's really going to come down to everybody just executing this last pit stop.
Yeah, I think especially for Madalinas, this race is just going to come down to not throwing it away now, You don't need to pit too early, don't pit too late, just right in the middle of when everyone else is going. I think that's when you come down and get tires. He's got a big enough lead anyways. He doesn't really need to protect it or try to grow it. He can kind of just come down at a reasonable time, and it should work out for him. They always say the best way out of a bad strategy is just to drive faster than everybody else, and he's definitely done that today.
What I'm hoping to see here is I really hope that these drivers that were running a little bit longer the previous run, the 40 of Caressel, who else was that? The 44 of Matt Durr. Hopefully they run as long as they can and just hope for a caution, because I think that's a great opportunity. That's something I've done in this league before, and if you get the caution at the right time, it gives you all that track position. I hope to see hope we see it, because it's the closest thing to a Hail Mary, and that's your only shot at least at getting a top 5, if anything.
I'm torn on that, because on one hand, yes, your best strategy to get an outright win is to get a caution by staying out late. But on the other hand, it's a good way to throw away an otherwise good result. I mean, Nicholas Caressel has a top 10 in the bag here, and I don't know. I mean, staying out that long, it would drop him back without much time to make that back up. So, I don't know. I'm torn, and especially with a pretty limited field here, I don't really know.
Guess what? He just pitted. So yeah, he agrees with you. So I give you credit. You got it. It's true. It's very true. It's up to you what you want. Are you going to be happy with a solid finish, and obviously that is probably the most likely situation, because everybody's spread out, maybe not going to get that yellow tonight. But or do you want to just throw away the good finish and hope for something? But man, it's getting really tight there between Maji and the 49 and Nicewanger.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing to consider. I as a driver, I mean, I usually like to try and just protect the good finish I have. I don't like walking away from a race with a bad finish, but at the same time, I think some drivers would be more upset knowing that they didn't try to go for the win. So, yeah, it really depends on who you are as a driver, as I think Barbagelata is heading to pit road, as is nobody else. So just Barbagelata coming in this time. Spencer Owens in as well, but he's sliding onto pit road. He makes it down safely. And now it's we kind of turn our attention to Hunter Madalinas. When is he coming in? Only 25 to go, so I would imagine that it's soon. I don't think he can come in this lap. He's in a little bit of a gaggle right now. Yeah,
I was going to say, kind of in a bad spot there with getting passed on the outside by DuPont, and then on the inside was Woodall that was going to pit there. Kind of interested to see where Manji comes out in this. He pitted a couple laps ago. Out there right now just kind of making lap time. If he can close up some of this gap on Madalinas. Obviously, when Madalinas does pit, he's going to have the fresh tires to get back by him, but it's still going to be a pass for the lead that will be had to be made at some point here if Manji's able to make up enough time to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think now is the best time to go for that undercut, because unlike these other runs where you've kind of been playing with a moving target, I mean, there's no really end in sight. Here, once Madalinas comes on pit road, I mean, you're going to know exactly how much time you have to hold him off. If Madalinas pit now, I mean, Tony Manji would know he's got about 23 laps that he has to keep that number 7 truck behind him. Definitely not easy, but not impossible either. But we'll kind of just wait it out here and see when Madalinas elects his time to bring it down pit road. Not this lap. You'll stay out again.
And I guess for Madalinas, running long here is, a great way to just make sure that you don't lose it by, this random caution. But it just makes it a little, every time he stays out another lap, it just makes this last run here a little more interesting. It sounds like he's going to maybe pit this time. Now he's kind of by himself, at least warning the drivers behind him here. We'll see if he can get this thing low down to pit road.
He'll pit on his way to lap 130, which means he'll have about 20 laps that he needs to basically get through all these slower trucks and to the race lead. I don't know where he's going to come out. He probably won't be too far back. We'll just have to wait and see. You know, you got to execute on pit road still. Got to get into your box clean. That part's done. Don't think he'll have a speeding penalty. So we watch Tony Manji now. Honestly, Manji's not as far forward as I thought he might be. I think this is going to be not quite that close. That'll happen when we have such a big lead on the field. Manji out of turn 4 now, and Madalinas is just leaving his box. You know what? I think Madalinas might come out as the leader.
Looks like Manji's going to get by here.
Manji's going to...
Maybe a few others.
He's got a little bit of work to do. I have a couple of trucks to pass, not too many.
And I think the interesting part will be how he does getting around these drivers. Obviously, he's going to have fresher tires, so I think he can do it pretty easily. But obviously, with 20 laps to go, and now you're going to look over and you're going to see 19 remaining, 18 remaining. There'll be a little bit of pressure here for Madalinas to try to get back up there. It's just a matter of can he, take his time if he feels like he has enough time to get there.
A little bit more pressure. I mean, I think Madalinas has been in these spots before. I think back to Auto Club. I mean, he definitely knows what he's doing in these kind of situations. So I doubt that it'll phase him too much. But, you never know when something could go wrong. I mean, maybe Shane Nicewanger decides to be a little bit more aggressive and they get in a crash or he gets slowed up. But we'll just have to see. Anything can still happen. And at the very least, Madalinas is now a little bit out of position. So things are a little bit more exciting than him just running away with the lead. He's got to work for it a little bit more. But, yeah.
And I think we'll see how he does with the 6 of Jackson Sims, but I think the 49 of Shane Nicewanger, Shane's not going to move over. He's going to make it whether I know he's going to have a huge tire advantage, the 7 truck will, but a lot of these drivers, especially for position in a top 3 finish here, they're not going to move over for him if they can at least make his life difficult at all if they can.
I don't know if they'll be able to. Take a look at that closing rate through 1 and 2. Nicewanger kind of has no choice but to just get out of the way and let that number 7 truck on by. I mean, right now, Madalinas is taking about just under a second out of Manji's lead every single lap. Then again, that'll lower a little bit. It'll go down a little bit. But already, that 4-second gap is 2.5 seconds. Last time by, he was 0.8 of a second faster than Manji, so I don't think this will take too long.
Yeah, in an interesting spot right now. Manji actually has the lap truck of Lewis Woodall that's got fresher tires than him just right in front of him. So it's kind of a little bit of a distraction for our leader right now as far as just trying to run clean laps and try to, prolong this pass that Madalinas is going to have a chance to do here probably in the next 5 or 6 laps. But just carving his way through the 7 truck, moving back up there.
And Caressel's making a move on Jared Darling for 8th. Caressel, one of the drivers who pitted a little bit earlier in this run. Darling might have pitted around the same time, as here comes Hunter Madalinas on Jackson Sims for 2nd. Sims just doesn't have the grip to keep it up, and Madalinas will be through to 2nd place with 1 more spot to gain before he can win the season finale and break Nathan Jump's record for the most wins in a season by any Great Lakes Truck Series driver. We'll have to keep an eye on this, though, because, last race of the season, Tony Manji doesn't really have anything to lose by fighting a little bit harder. I just don't know if he'll really have the grip to fight. It'll be 14 to go with the line, and Madalinas is there. But what can Tony Manji do? Down into turn number 1. Madalinas to the high side. Manji goes low. Manji's going to try to aero block, but he gets crossed up, and Madalinas is through to the lead as Jared Darling is spinning out of turn number 4. Madalinas is taking names and taking ankles as he looks to close out the season with 1 more win. So Madalinas back to the front. Manji couldn't put up with it. 13 to go at the line.
I want to credit for the attempt there by Tony Manji to be able to try to hold up the 7. Definitely nothing against the rules or anything, foul play or anything. I thought that was a fair way to maybe try to slow him down a little bit, slow his momentum. But yeah, it's tough to stop the season 10 champion on fresh tires.
I mean, Tony Manji, he did everything he could there, and fair play to him. I don't think he did anything wrong by trying to open up the wheel a little bit, but yeah, I mean, when your tires are 5 laps older, I mean, there's really not much you can do. So looking back through the field, Will Barbagelata might be one to watch as this race continues. He's got 3-lap fresher tires than both Sims and Manji, so he might try to steal a top 3 here as we close up on 10 laps to go.
Yeah, I thought that the previous green flag run, Barbagelata pitted on the same lap as Manji, and this time ran a little bit longer, but I think that wasn't a bad idea to run a little bit longer, but he definitely has lost some ground here. I guess in the end, I think it'll be probably much closer than he probably imagined to get back to the 24 as far as being ahead of him on that last run. So, yeah, just maybe not as good of an entry and exit on pit road this time for the 27. Not sure if that was what caused it, but yeah, got some work to do to get back up at least a second where he was on the previous run.
I think also at the end of the day, I mean, Barbagelata was not as fast as Manji this race. I think Manji really had a good handle on this place, and maybe not as good as Madalinas, but I think when someone's just outright faster than you, it's hard to beat them through strategy. You can definitely beat yourself, but you have to do something pretty dumb, to throw away a really good run like that when you're that much faster. So I think Manji, fair play to him. I mean, he just played it smart, and I think even with that 3-lap advantage, it'll be hard for Barbagelata to reel him back in. By the way, Christian Peterson, I think he has given up on the race. Yeah, he is 39 laps down, sitting in pit road. So that is it for the 71 truck.
And you talked about a couple other drivers. We saw, Elliot Henderson that was running up in the top 2. He's got a little bit of fresher tires here too, not far off of Barbagelata here. So he potentially, depending on if the 27 is able to get up in the top 3 here, he could potentially, kind of pick up the scraps of whatever Barbagelata is able to do as he's getting passed by the 44 on fresh tires, a lap truck here of Matt Durr.
Yeah, Elliot Henderson, I mean, he had a really fast truck in the first stint of the race. I mean, he really had a good feel for this place, but I think he kind of beat himself by pitting a little too early on that second run, and we saw how even that small 2-lap tire disadvantage really hurt him. So I think he kind of flipped the strategy for this run of the race, decided to go a little bit longer, and as of now, it's paying off. He's closing the gap to Barbagelata just a little bit. You can see at the bottom of the ticker there, Matthew Weeks, Jared Duda, and Adolfo Delgado. 3 drivers who started off with pretty strong runs in this race, unfortunately just ran into some bad luck. Honestly, some of them through their own doing, and just not going to be able to close out this race.
You talked about Kressel. I kind of asked, could he run a little bit longer and just try to throw a Hail Mary, but he decided to run the ball, I guess, is the opposite, by pitting early, and now, he's going to get a solid top 10 tonight, running 8th right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, I mean, as we get closer to the end, I think at this point they would have had to pit already. I think a lot of them just wanted to save their good finishes, didn't really want to throw anything at the wall, so props to them. Caressel going to come away with a solid top 10, as will Robin Durr and Brent Kingcott.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before the race started, before the broadcast, about what else this season end means. Obviously Madalinas winning the championship. There's team points. There's rookie bragging rights for some of our new drivers, but also a top 25 rule when it comes to the next season. So some of these drivers that are maybe settling for a top 10 tonight, getting a good run, might set them up to make sure that they have the best opportunity to reset themselves for next season. So I'm excited to. You mentioned a couple of these drivers. I hope we see Matthew Weeks and Christian Peterson, some of the new drivers that joined here in season 10, back for the next season, because it's been awesome to see some new drivers up there battling for wins and contending with some of the usuals.
Yeah, Matthew Weeks is really one of the drivers that I would have loved to see find a little bit more success this season, because he was definitely fast enough to, so it really hurts to see a lot of the bad luck that he ran into. I mean, he just got wrecked a lot of weeks, and I think part of that is because his qualifying pace was always just a little bit off. He wasn't able to start at the front, so he kind of got caught up in some of the messes that come with being in the middle of the field. But he just ran into a lot of bad luck, and I think Matthew Weeks is going to be a driver to watch out for. I definitely see a lot of potential in him as I watch these races.
Well, at least 2 more laps to see what we've seen a lot this year, and that's that 7 truck of Hunter Madalinas. It's impressive just how well he does this and is able to come out here and sometimes he has to work for it. Maybe he doesn't always qualify up near the front and makes his way up there, and then sometimes mid-race beyond, it's we get these moments where we see that 7 truck get out front and drive away, and it's totally impressive what he's able to do.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about hard work, and I think Hunter Madalinas, for all that we maybe didn't want to see him win as much as he has this season, he is one of the hardest working drivers in this field. He always talks about in post-race interviews about how much he practices and how disciplined he is, just running the bottom every single lap of every single race. Disciplined, consistent. I mean, what more can you say about the driver at the number 7? He has an immense amount of talent, and he has been able to harness it all season. Hard work is going to pay off once again. Nathan Jump's win record is going to be broken, and Hunter Madalinas is going to cap off his championship season with a final win in Texas. Hunter Madalinas does it again. Tony Manji comes home in 2nd, Jackson Sims 3rd, Will Barbergelata 4th, and Elliot Henderson for E95 Esports is going to come home in P5. That should wrap up the championship for E95. They're going to win the driver's title with Madalinas. They'll win the team title with him and Henderson, your top 2 finishers of that team. See the teammates congratulating each other there on the back straightaway. But Hunter Madalinas, man, what a season it's been for the number 7 truck. Tonight, just another jewel in the crown.
Yeah, I remember my first season in this series. It felt like Madalinas. There was a couple times my first season I had some lucky breaks and was able to battle with Madalinas, and he'd always beat me. So I guess moving to the booth is a good way to this season. It was super fun to join you guys up here in the booth and see Madalinas from this perspective, because I was kind of getting old getting beat by him all the time. So but yeah, it's impressive to see him pull this out and celebrate again and continue to break records.
Yeah, and more than that, I think we really saw him flourish over the season. I mean, we always talked early on about how aggressive he would be, and more often than not, that kind of got him into trouble. But I think as the season went on, he was really able to hone some of that aggression to just outright speed. I mean, we saw earlier on in the season, he would kind of have to dig himself out of these holes, and he would kind of use that aggression to make passes, but as the season went on, he didn't really need to do that as much anymore. So Hunter, I mean, he was really able to just hone in that speed, and it was an incredible run through the playoffs to get him where he is now. So great season by Hunter Madalinas, and I think we can go ahead and bring him into the booth now. Hunter, it is another race win for you, number 8 on the year. Talk us through that race and how you were able to get it done.
Man, I kind of spent most of that race just kind of wanting to have fun, and I started in the back to kind of just have fun driving through the field, and I think it was pretty early we got up front, and I realized I had a pretty decent truck for the race, and so spent the race kind of trying to figure it out how we could manage being faster, and then it was just pit strategy after that to get us in the lead and drive away.
Yeah, I mean, you really were able to drive away, and honestly, that was kind of the story of the second half of this season. I mean, you were on top of your game from start to finish throughout most of the playoffs and throughout a lot of the regular season as well. What's kind of the motto for you? What are you able to do that just gets you these consistent wins?
I think it was just the training I had from last season to this season, just with my Ryko guys. They taught me a whole lot, and it's just I've been able to learn kind of how to run iRacing a lot better. And just with the new oval update, I think it's been something that I've been able to kind of click off ever since it did it. I can't remember what the first race was that we had with it, but all I know is that with the refresh, I've been able to figure it out and continuing to get wins.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, continuing to get wins. That's kind of been the motto of the season. But looking back over the year, I mean, there were a lot of high points, but I'm sure there were a couple of low points there as well. Could you share like one highlight and maybe one low light that you'd like to forget about before this offseason?
Well, the highlight's got to be winning the championship. I've been close to it so many times, but never able to get it. And to complete a full season and be fast the whole season is probably my highlight. Low light was probably just the a couple bad finishes, bad mistakes we've had. Atlanta was a rough one for me, but to be honest, there hasn't been much low lights. I think I've been a little bit too aggressive at times, but I think, well, if I had to choose a low light, it would be at probably the Glen with a contact with Ashton. But I think it's just been trying to minimize it, try and get less aggressive as the season went on, and just rack up wins.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely noticed how your driving style kind of evolved over the season. You were able to hone in some of that aggression, and that's really been something that's been fun to watch. But looking forward to the next season and maybe the future, what's next for Hunter Madalinas, both in this league and on iRacing in general?
Yeah, for next season for the Xfinity series when they come up, I'm going to be starting my own team. Going to be bringing back HMS. It was an early team that ran in the early seasons of the Truck Series, but it'll be back for the Xfinity Series. So we're going to be looking to pick up two guys that we are going to have on that team, and it's just going to keep grinding. We're started running some Xfinity fix to kind of get my toes dipped in the water of those, and we're going to just keep trying to dominate.
Exciting things ahead for Hunter Madalinas, looking to expand into being a team owner after a dominant season here, winning the championship. Hunter, is there anybody that you would like to thank?
Yeah, just thanks to the E95 guys. They all ran amazingly tonight. I think Austin got a top 15 since he almost got that top 10, and Elliott was up front most of the night. So just thanks to them, thanks to everybody that supports me. I got my friends here and a girlfriend in my room to support me, and just this whole league, and you guys for broadcasting these races that I get to talk to every week. I know you guys are probably bored of talking to me.
Well, that's awesome to hear, Hunter. Congratulations on your win once again. We're going to go ahead and let you go.
Thank you.
So that was Hunter Madalinas, your race winner and season champion. Now, we'd like to talk to the rest of your top three finishers, but I don't see him in here. So we got Elliott Henderson with Ross Brockman. Not to say that I don't want to talk to Elliott. Sorry, that came out wrong. We're happy to have Elliott up here in the booth. Just normally we do your top three, but that's why we are moving to Elliott Henderson, who finished fifth and is standing by with Ross.
Yeah, we talked to Elliott before the start of this race. On the pole tonight, ran up in the top five, but ultimately you talked about Elliott finishing off the team championship and then having your driver, Hunter Madalinas, win the championship. Talk about tonight and how it went and overall the season and this moment here.
Yeah, I mean, for us, that was about as uneventful as the night could go, and that's kind of what we wanted. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't have the pace tonight that we needed towards the end of the race. We were fine at the beginning. The first third of the race, we were probably the fastest truck out there, and then I just couldn't get it done on the long runs, and unfortunately, that set us back to fifth. But we did what we needed to do tonight. Madalinas obviously with the championship. That was the number one goal. And secondarily finish top of the team points, and we did that. So moved myself fourth in the points. We just missed out on Sims. He had a great run, so congrats to him on that third place finish. But for us in our season, this was about best case scenario. We barely even made the playoffs, so to come out of here top five in points and finish the season off with a nice pole in the top five gives us a little bit of confidence moving into next year, going into this winter break.
Yeah, and you've been a long time driver in this league and a champion now. To also experience it with another driver on your team, what's that like? And then also obviously not able to get the victory lane this year, but I was going to tease you the fact that maybe it's because you hired such a great guy to drive with you.
Yeah, 20 to go, I felt like Jeff Gordon hiring Jimmy Johnson out here. Just Madalinas is getting it done, but. From a team perspective, that's what we want, and I'd love to see Austin and Sensi in victory lane too. And unfortunately, three of us just didn't have pace to match that this season. So, we got to work harder in the off season, and hopefully the Xfinity car maybe falls into our grasp, considering running that next season at the beginning of the year. But overall, as a team, really proud of Madalinas to do what he did. And, this is probably the 5th or 6th different championship that we've won as a team now. Obviously, Jake Miller, myself, Madalinas, all champions with E95. So, just going to continue that moving forward. Really proud of Madalinas on this season. Incredible stat season. And broke a lot of records. So broke a lot of my records, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, that's what we want as a team. We want people to excel, whether it's me or Madalinas or Sensi or Austin or whoever joins. We want championships, and I think we proved that this season. And Madalinas did a great job representing that.
And you pretty much hit everybody. But if there's anyone else you want to thank or shout out before we let you go and give you a chance to celebrate.
Yeah, I think I only had one other top 3 run that would have been interviewed, but we went late in that race. So, I'm grateful to be able to be up here and talk for one more time before the season goes off air. But, thanks to you guys, to Split Second Broadcasting, Jeff. I work with those guys a lot, and really happy to have them come on board and make this happen and allow our races to be seen by the masses. Really proud of, obviously, Hunter Madalinas. Going to celebrate this for a bit and enjoy it over the off season. Can't wait to see what we do next season. But just a stellar run by him can't be understated. And many thanks to Michael Levine, who helps us out on a weekly basis. Everybody on the admin team from GLR, and then obviously my other teammates with Michael Sensi, Tyler McClellan, and Austin Moore. Each week these guys come in and they put on effort and they make sure that we're represented really well, and they do a good job in the league. And excited to just move forward and hopefully keep this going. Hopefully get myself in a more consistent position than what we did this season.
Sounds good. Thanks for talking with us, Elliot. Have a great night.
Thank you, guys. You too.
Yeah, you get the feeling that as one happy team owner, I mean, he basically got to watch all season as Hunter Madalinas' driver just dominated week in and week out, and Elliot himself, put up a great run throughout the season. Definitely ran into some bad luck at times, but top 5 points finish and a top 5 tonight, definitely nothing to scoff at. All right, before we get going here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the finishing results of this race, and then we're going to go ahead and give you a full points rundown of the season. But starting off with your finishing results in just a second here. There we go. Hunter Madalinas wins after starting 13th. Tony Maggi comes home in 2nd. Jackson Sims 3rd. Will Barbagelata 4th. And Elliot Henderson, Madalinas' team owner, comes home in 5th. Backing up last week's win, Spencer Owens comes home P6, 2 solid runs in a row for him, with Shane Nicewonger in 7th. Nicholas Caressel, P8, and Brent Kingcott, a great top 10, coming home P9. Robin Durr rounding out the top 10 in 10th.
Yeah, 11th finisher was the 92 of Michael Sensi. Elliot mentioned him on the team. So close to a top 10 tonight. Our drivers have finished outside of the lead lap, the 00 of Aiden DuPont, the 13 of Lewis Woodall, 91 of Austin Moore finishes 14th. Matt Durr in the 44, top 15 tonight. We saw the 1 of Jared Darling, a couple of these drivers involved in some yellows and able to at least get back into the top 20, but the 1 of Darling and 93 of Snyder, both involved in different yellows. The 64 of Blair Neobone finishes 18th. Gavin Fitzgerald in his Halloween costume as Eric Tepf tonight finishes 19th, giving that 63 truck another run in a full season of Great Lakes. It's awesome to see that truck still run with Eric not here tonight. But the 4 of Rod Fausnow is able to come back in, though a couple laps down, 4 laps down, finishes 20th.
And 21st through 27th, Christian Peterson, after a multitude of connection issues and eventually giving up, finishes in 21st. Nathan Jump, 22nd. Terrell Baker, 23rd. James Shiflett, 24th. Matthew Weeks, heartbreaking run for him again at 25th. Jared Duda, 26th. And Adolfo Delgado, 27th. That'll do it for your finishing results. And now we're going to go ahead and look at the final point standings for the year as a whole. Starting off with your chase drivers, Hunter Madalinas obviously comes away with the championship. 7 wins and 12 top 5s on the season. Not sure what else can be said. A perfect run for Hunter Madalinas. P2, Christian Peterson. He, for a while, I thought was the championship favorite, but ultimately not able to get around that number 7 truck. Jackson Sims, with a quietly consistent year, comes home in 3rd. Elliot Henderson, the team owner for Madalinas, comes home in 4th. Matthew Weeks in his rookie campaign. A very strong year for him. Unfortunately, not able to get to victory lane, but had the pace to do so many times this year. P5. Shane Nicewonger in 7th. Spencer Owens, Shane in 6th. Spencer Owens in 7th. William Barbachelata in 8th. Zach Henry, P9, and Chris Heller, who unfortunately missed out on a good bit of the play.
Matt Durr able to be the best of the rest, I guess, in 11th place. The 92 of Michael Senzi, 12th. Nicholas Caressel in the 40 finishes 13th. Tyrell Baker, Tony Manji, we talked about how much speed he had this year. Just not able to run. I think he missed a couple races at least, but yeah, the 24 of Manji was never able to get that win. And another guy that kind of in the same spot, the 1 truck of Jared Darling, had so many opportunities this year, so close, but wasn't able to do it. The 63 Eric
weird season, if I could just jump in. Weird season for Jared Darling. Because some races he was at the front fighting for the win. Other races he was kind of nowhere to be seen. I think 6 top 10s might be one of the lowest out of the drivers that competed for multiple wins. So weird season for Jared Darling. P16 on the year.
100%. I totally agree with you. The Eric Kepton in the 63, obviously missing tonight's race, but still able to finish 17th. Nathan Jump, our champion from last season, wasn't able to run all the races this year, but able to grab a couple wins and still show some speed throughout the season. The 00 of Aiden DuPont with a 19th overall finish, and then Jared Duda in the 53 to get the 1 win this year and cracks the top 20 in points.
Driver with a bizarre season, Jared Duda. Just a lot of wrecks, bit of a late season collapse, but he comes home in 20th after a very strong start to the year with 1 win on the year. All right, 21st through 30th. We got a lot of these to go through, by the way. P21 on the year will be Gavin Fitzgerald. He was able to pick up a win at Atlanta. Consistent year for him. Unfortunately, not able to break into the top 10 as much as he would have liked. A lot of bad luck here and there sets him back. Brent Kingcott, P22. Austin Moore, 23rd. Robin Durr, 24th. Hunter Brittle, 25th. Rod Fasnaugh, 26th. Lewis Woodall, 27. Ashton Lawson, who picked up a win at Nashville and has not been seen for the past 10 weeks. Let me know if you know where he is. P28. Jim Duda, P29. And Cody Miller on a part-time schedule, 30th. Oh, I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah, so there's our top 30. I don't know if Jeff's gonna keep going. If he would go all the way to 56th, I think my name's maybe on this list. Able to a strong top 60, I think, in points for me this year. James.
We're already here.
So James Shiplet in the 28, Paul Witt in the 29. Some of these drivers that I know James has run a majority of the races this year. Evan Snyder we saw out there tonight. Blair Neabone also racing tonight. Preston Henry 35th. Trent Curtis, Nathan Nixon, Dylan Poteet. We're going back into these names that I haven't pronounced in a while. Frederick Cremines and Mike McConville. A lot of these drivers, it's great because it's like a wide range of skills and drivers throughout the season that we got to race with, or at least watch race when we're up here in the booth.
A bit of a season-long recap here. All right, 41st through 50th. Jake Fisher, there's a name we haven't seen in a while. He ran at Pocono, I think Darlington were some of his starts. Haven't seen him in a while. He finishes 41st. Matthew Rodriguez, 42nd. Sam Hoff, 43rd. Ross Brockman, hey, I know that guy, in 44th. Matthew Daniels, P45. Cody McCorkle, P46. I think his last start was at Auto Club. He put up a decent run. Alex Fetter, P47. Jeff Johnson, he ran a couple races. How about that? 48th, Aspen Martin, named after everyone's favorite British car manufacturer, 49th. And Kevin Walter, I don't think I saw his name once this season, finishes in 50th.
I think it's Watler, right?
I'm sorry. Watler? Oh, Kevin,
I think so.
Kevin, I don't recognize your name. If you're watching, I'm very sorry. He comes home in 50th.
One more page. I guess we got Adolfo Delgado, who raced tonight in the 3 truck. Nick Hansen, Greg Mitchell, Adam Zorn, Michael Levine, and Ty Smith. It's rounds up our top 56. You showed me in 44th. I guess if we have a rain out and the top 43 get to start at Daytona, I guess I'll be back here in the booth with you next year, I guess. I'm just kidding.
Shout out Ty Smith, a singular point on the year, just the one. All right, that's going to do it for the Championship 255 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Man, it has been a fun season from Daytona all the way up until now. I've loved covering these races on Tuesday nights. Ross, you got any final thoughts for the viewers, for me, for Jeff?
Yeah, I'm just going to say this has been my rookie season of jumping in the booth with you guys. I've always wanted to do this and try this, and it's been super fun. It's my favorite league to watch, even though it's also my favorite league probably to race in. So I want to thank you, Jonathan. You're the professional, and it's been awesome to kind of learn from you guys and have some fun. It's been great.
Yeah, definitely, Ross. I had a fun season broadcasting with you. Had a good time with Evan up here in the booth a couple of times. I think we had a couple other guest stars. It was a fun year all around. Of course, we got to thank Jeff Johnson, who has been our loyal producer since day one. It never misses a beat with the camera changes and the graphics, with the occasional typo, but we love the occasional typos. So big shout out to Jeff for putting this all on for us and for having me and Ross on the show. I had a great time. Aw, thanks, Jeff. I had a great time, and I hope you all at home watching did as well. I want to say another congratulations to Hunter Madalinas and Elliot Henderson, your team owner champion, and of course your race winner tonight and season-long champion. Not enough can be said, I think, about the perfection that Hunter Madalinas put on display throughout the year. We will see you all in Daytona. For myself, Ross Bachman, and Jeff Johnson, that is good night, and thank you all for watching.